Cool. Good evening, guys. Come on, are you sleeping already? Good evening. Yay! Yeah! JavaScript. So tonight we're going to talk about a future called web components. And web components are a really trendy thing right now. So yeah, it's going to be really nice. Here's my Twitter. If you want to send any feedback, if you have any questions, just ping me on Twitter. I'll be more than happy to answer you. So I'm from Brazil. I'm really happy to be here today. I'm moving here to LA. I love this place. It's really nice. And I work at Liferay. It's a company based in Diamond Bar. It's a really nice place. If you want more information or if you want stickers, there are stickers and pen drives over there. I also one of the co-founders of Brazil.js. We have this foundation over there that helps other events and other people to spread the word about JavaScript. And like we have this event for 1,000 people, it's crazy, and it's been really nice. I write some articles for Smashing Magazine, and I also do some projects with Google, and one of those projects are the one that I'm gonna show to you today. So tonight I'm gonna try to predict the future with you guys. And I know I have this theory on my mind, it's really crazy, but maybe you agree with that. I really think that the most famous client-side projects are fated to die. And I know that this is a really strong assumption. If you read that, it's like, oh my God, what that guy's talking about? This doesn't make any sense. jQuery is not gonna die, or any other thing's not gonna die. But if you think about all those stuff that happened on the web over time, let's say Flash. Flash was a really nice solution. If you want to do animations, if you want to do transitions on the web, there was no other solution than Flash. We had Silverlight, but that thing just sucks. Flash was much better. Flash was amazing. But then HTML5 came, all those really trendy stuff going on, and now we have things like Canvas where you can do drawing on the browser in a much faster way, no plugins required, much nicer. So eventually, the platform realized that, hey, we don't need Flash anymore. We can try to put those things that people want to do on the web in the platform and then provide this to them. Same thing with jQuery. 8 years ago when jQuery started, it was really hard to do DOM manipulation in the browser. If you wanted to just select an element, it was really hard. You have to deal with all different browsers, and each one of them has a different API. If you want to do AJAX requests, it was even harder, and jQuery came, and it was awesome. jQuery was so awesome. John Rassick made such nice project that eventually people were learning jQuery before learning JavaScript, which is crazy because you're learning a library before learning the language. But yeah, this thing happened. But now, the platform realized, hey, people want to do DOM manipulation using CSS selectors. So they put it document.querySelector, and now you can do this. And the same thing with jQuery UI. jQuery UI has a bunch of awesome components. If you want a carousel, if you want a date picker, who doesn't want a date picker? You always need that date picker in your application. So you were there, you went to jQuery UI, you grabbed the date picker. So again, the platform realized, hey, lots of people want to have date pickers on the browser, so why don't we provide this to them? And they introduce the input type date. So what I'm trying to say is that each of those projects, each of those really nice stuff that people do, other developers do, they want to fill a gap. And if this gap is really huge and they make a really successful project with this, then maybe they can drop that over time and make something that it's native on the platform. So you think everything is going to be native one day, all those things Angular will be built-in the browser. No, I don't think that. But the really popular stuff, the most of the things that people really like it, and it's really important, eventually they'll go to the platform. And if you think what the major web companies have been doing over the last years, if you really pay attention to this, you'll see a kind of pattern. Twitter, for example. Twitter, they came with Twitter Bootstrap. And Twitter Bootstrap, I think it's now the most popular project on GitHub. It has more stars and everything. And it's just a CSS file with some markup, and you have this really nice UI widgets. So Bootstrap, it's amazing. You can like create those components, reuse them, it's really nice. What Facebook have been doing? Facebook, they created React. And React, you can create like your whole application with virtual DOM, lots of crazy and really nice solutions, but they're trying to solve the same problem. They want to like reuse those components in a really declarative way. What Adobe has been doing? Topcode. Topcode is a library that you create your components and you use it in your application. What Liferay, the company I work for, is doing? We have this Alloy UI framework, which is based on YUI, and you can create like a scheduler in your application. You can create like a date picker. What Yahoo have been doing, they have pure CSS, where you can like have grids, you can have buttons, reuse those pieces of your project. So each one of those companies, they're trying to resolve the same problem, which is you have your application like this, and you can see like, oh, I have this profile box here, or I have this subscribe box here. Once I code it, I want to reuse that in any other page of my application. It doesn't make sense that I'm always trying to rewrite everything. So like all the companies, they want to be like really high scalable. They want to like create new stuff all the time, and if they can reuse stuff, then it's better. Then like it's a really good thing. You don't want to rewrite code. It's like wasting money. So what about companies like Google? What about companies like Mozilla? What have been doing? We're going to get there. But before, I want to like ask you this, guys: how you create a component nowadays? Like there's so many different ways. There's so many different frameworks. How you create a component that you build here and you want to reuse here? There's so many different ways. One of my favorite ways, and I know all of you will be really familiar with that, is this one. It's 3 steps. It's really simple. The first step, you never create something new. It doesn't make sense. Someone else already created a carousel, for example. You don't need a carousel. So you just go to Google, carousel, plugin, jQuery, those 3 keywords. And if you find some result like this one, like the 45 best jQuery carousel plugins, man, oh my God, this is the one. I'm gonna click it and I'm gonna grab the first one. Doesn't matter, it will work. So this is the first step. The second step, you're gonna copy and paste someone else's code. You don't have any idea what's happening over there, like, what is this? I don't know, have any idea. You have like all the CSS files, you don't have any idea. But you're gonna copy and paste. And the third step, you hope it works. And if it works, it's like, oh, yay, I love this dance. And if it works, it's great. But eventually, like some things will not work, you wanna customize a little bit, and it's not gonna be a really good move or a really like smooth process. So web components is this new thing that everybody's talking about, which is a solution that the platform is trying to provide for you to create reusable components. It's not something that a company is driving, it's not a new framework, it's just a set of W3C specifications. So you can go like really crazy with web components. You can create your own HTML tags. So imagine that. We have this whole ecosystem of developers. Some developers know Java, some developers know Ruby, some knows Python. So there are so many languages, but what is common between all of them is HTML, right? We are used to the HTML API. We know that we can create a tag like this and we put an attribute and something will work. So you can go crazy and create your own tag with web components. Like this one. This one is the JSLA tag. And what this tag does, it's like really simple. You have this tag, and let me inspect here. So if you see the source code of this tag, it's like a doc type, HTML head, body, and then you have, and then you have the JSLA tag. That's it. That's only it. So let's see what this tag actually does. Can we turn off the lights, David? Just a little bit. It's gonna be fun. So if we turn off the lights, maybe this tag can do something like this. And, and I'm not doing anything. And if we turn on the lights again, So that's insane. Okay, yeah, that's crazy. You can like go really crazy. If you don't want to create a new tag, you can extend an existing tag. Let's say you want to create, like your boss comes to you and say, hey, we need to have like the webcam of the user on our application. How we do that? Well, there's several ways, but one way that works right now, you can request the Get User Media API from the browser, and then the user needs to allow it, and once the user allows it, you grab the stream of the webcam, and you go and pass the stream to the source of a video. What if we could just like wrap everything in one tag and extend an existing one? So you could create a video camera element, and with like just one line of code like this. Video is video camera, autoplay. You can grab the user webcam. So it's nice, right? It's like one line of code, like HTML, everybody's used to this. So this is web components. You can create, like you have those different specifications that are running their way from W3C. You have templates, you have shadow DOM, you have custom elements, you have HTML imports, decorators is gonna be dropped. And like you have all of this. You don't need to use all of them at the same time. You can use just one piece of it, like many frameworks are planning to do in the future. But web components is this umbrella of specifications, and this is what people are calling. So this is my idea with this talk. By the end of the talk, I want you to feel like this, because I'm going to show like a lot of stuff. And like, I love this. So okay, the first one is, let me just stop this, okay? The first one is custom elements. So with custom elements is the one that is responsible and allows you to create your own tag. Let's say I want to create the JSLA tag. I just define that on my HTML, and like, if you first see this block of code, it's like, what? But like, it's not that hard. You create an object using the HTML element prototype. So you're creating an object based on the HTML element prototype. You can attach some callbacks like this one, created callback, and inside of this I'm just putting like JSLA yay. And then you can register this JSLA tag in your browser using that proto that you created before. So it's kind of nice. You have some life cycles for your element. You have the created life cycle that is triggered once you create it, when it's attached on the browser, when it's detached from the DOM, and when some attribute changed. So you have those life cycles. So remember when I told you, like, I asked you, like, what Google is working, what Mozilla is working. So these are the projects that they are working right now. Mozilla is working on X tags. So this is their library on top of web components, and you can create your own web components with this. There are some projects using this. Brick was using it. The Brick is responsible to create the UI components for Firefox OS. And the other one, the most popular one, is Polymer. So you probably heard about this one. It's really popular right now. And this one is from Google. And Polymer, like all the examples that I'm going to show tonight, is based on Polymer. And with Polymer, it's like really easy. You create your element. Like you don't need this imperative way of creating elements using JavaScript. You can use a really declarative way with Polymer. So you can create your element, you specify the name of it, you can specify different attributes. I can create an attribute called where. And then I will say where it's going to be, and you register the element here. Cool. In Polymer, they have this really similar lifecycle callbacks, pretty much the same thing, just changed a little bit. So it's nice. You can create like your own tags with custom elements, but that's not enough, right? So templates are not a big deal. We are used to templates for a long time. Have been using like templates in the server for a long time, so it's not a big deal. And templates are just these reusable blocks of code. You have this block you want to reuse along your application, so that's what templates for. On the server side, we have many solutions. We have liquid, we have Jinja for Java, we have velocity, we have handlebars, we have mustache, we have many solutions for the server side. Those two in Node, and also in the browser. You have, in the client side, you have solutions like Jade, you have Echo for CoffeeScript, you have so many things, like so many solutions for templating. And people try to do templating in the browser in a really weird way. The first attempt to do the templating in the browser, so let's say you have an image and you want to reuse that image, okay? So I want to reuse that piece of code all over my application. So you could like wrap it in a div and then just display none. Like I'm not gonna show this to the user and that's okay. So this should be fine. So the user's not gonna see it, so at least I can reuse this thing and the user will not notice. The problem is everything that you put inside of this is gonna do a HTTP request, and you don't want to have like many different HTTP requests for things that you're not using it. So this is not a good way of doing templating. The second attempt is what Handlebars does. Handlebars, they put everything, like they wrap your templating in a script tag. And then they put this like really weird type attribute. And it's good, it works because you're not requesting the same image, like everything that you put it here is not requested. But at the same time, first of all, it feels weird. And the second thing is that you can exploit some security problems with this approach. So what the browser did, they create the template tag. And this is already shipped in the browser. I think Chrome is already supporting this. How you create it is that simple. You just create a template tag, and then you start working with this. And to use it is not that difficult too. You're gonna do like a query selector like you're used to in JavaScript, and then you're gonna grab the content of this template. This is really important, this part. You grab your element, you grab the content of this element. So if you do like get element by ID, doesn't matter how you're gonna fetch the element from the DOM. You just need to put like .content in the end to grab the content of the template. And then you can put whatever you want inside of this, and then you can clone your template and it works. So that's how you do templating. It's really easy. So now we know how to create our own tags. We know how to use code in our application. The third step is encapsulation. We need to encapsulate our code and make it in such a way that people will not see what it's under the hood, you know, they don't need to see it. And that's what Shadow DOM is about. So Shadow DOM simply hides the implementation details for the user. Doesn't matter what is there, it's okay. So you may think that, oh, but there are other solutions for hiding the implementation, like iframe. No, this doesn't have anything to do with iframes. Iframes have a document inside of the other, and it just sucks. With Shadow DOM, it's really, really different. And I don't know if you ever thought about this, but we know the video element that we have now in the browser, the HTML5 video element. Like, what is that video element made of? If we go like to our browser and, okay, I have the video element here. What this thing is made of? Like, if I just inspect element here, what I'm gonna see it? You know? Like, okay, you can have, I know that there's the body and then there's just the video element. So how can I see what a video is made of? I can go to the developer tools in Chrome and enable this option here, show user agent Shadow DOM. And once I enable this option, I can actually see what's inside of this video. It seems like they are using divs to create that video. And they have the input type button. They actually use the in-type range. And you can see they have like different styles for it. So the browser is using like HTML and JavaScript to build the elements that are native on the browser. And like, let's see other ones. Like I don't know, let's see how date is made of. So like this one, we know we have this and we have everything. We can actually see what a date is made of. Like, oh, they have all these divs. Like spam, okay. If you inspect how the input type password looks like, you can actually type and see what's inside of my password. Oh my God, I need to change it. So, you know, it's crazy to think that the browser is using things that we already have been using for a while to make their own and native components. And how you create and how you enable shadow them. Let's say you have an H1. I think this one is better if I just show you the code here. So think like this. I have H1, this H1 element on my page, and if I put this style here, what's going to happen? All my H1s will be green, right? It doesn't matter if I append more H1s on my page. It doesn't matter if I append using JavaScript. All my H1s will be green. So you have many different ways to like not having this. You are like using namespaces. You can avoid this kind of things. But if we create our elements using shadow DOM, we can actually like create a new H1 and have everything inside of the shadow DOM. It's really encapsulated, so it doesn't matter if I say that, okay, inside of shadow DOM, all my H1s will be red. So how is this gonna render? So I have full and a half bar, you know, and well, I said to my page, hey, I want all my H1s to be green. So why is bar not green? Actually, bar is inside of a shadow hood, and everything inside of this, it has this own encapsulation. So I can do like whatever I want with CSS and JavaScript. This is not gonna be like, I can create global variables here, and it's not gonna like mess up with the global variables that I have in my actual document. No. So this one is like really encapsulated. This is not going to be affected. And you can go like, it's not only about just style. You can encapsulate markup, of course, and script. So like forget about namespaces and all those things. You don't need that anymore. And the last piece, like now that we know how to create our elements, we know how to reuse the blocks of code for those elements, we know how to encapsulate the code, we also need to import everything. That's the last piece. And to import, it's like really, really simple. We have been using the link tag for a while to import our CSS files, right? So you can just change the rel value. Instead of style sheets, you put import, and then you can import an actual HTML file, and it works. This is the last piece. You create your HTML, you create your element like separate in another file, and then you put everything you want there, and then you import it. That's it. It's really easy. And you know, web components is really nice, but at the same time, we need to be careful. This quote from Bruce Lawson is awesome. He says, "Web components rock, but making your whole app in one tag is the 2013 equivalent of making all your sites in text and images in one like great JPEG file." Like, remember when people just like put like a really big image and they like, okay, put image maps to put the clicks on it. So people can create like a whole app in one tag. You can have like open Google tag and that's it, you know? It's crazy. It's like, oh my God. And this one from Jeremy is also really nice. Web components, the funny notion that hiding your JavaScript widget behind an HTML API will make it smell better. You know, people can create like really crazy things with jQuery, with Angular, with web components. So it's not that holy grail that will save everybody. But it's nice, you know. It's like Uncle Ben said to the Spider-Man, like great powers comes with great responsibility. So web components is pretty much the same thing. And what about old browsers? And I'm not saying any specific one. What about old browsers? How all those new technologies are gonna work in old browsers? You know, it's really hard because it's nice that we have this Components Argh project, which shows the evolution of each standard and how they're doing, how they're implemented in each browser. It's nice, but we have polyfills for everything. If you want to use web components nowadays, first of all, it's probably not a good idea. And second of all, you can use it. I use it all the time, but I'm crazy. But you can go here in Polymer/Web Components.js, and they have polyfills for each one of the specs. So it's okay. And where can you find like elements that people are already creating? Should I go to NPM and search for elements there? But how am I going to like distinguish what is other elements, what is like node packages from the custom elements and web components packages? Or should I just go to Bower and try to search for them? Where can you find web components that has been created by other people? Well, we thought about that, and I got some friends together like Eduardo, Berna, and Djama, and we made this project called CustomElements.io last year, and it's been crazy. We have more than 600 web components nowadays, and I know that this is like really just the beginning, but it's nice. Like if you go to the website, you can see like many different web components that are really crazy. Like there are those ones, like you can, I think there's this one, yeah, QR code. Imagine like you want to read QR codes, you just have one tag and you read it. I think that's pretty nice. And if you want to like put your web components there, all you need to do, doesn't matter if you're going to publish on NPM or Bower, as long as you put the web components keyword in your bower.json file or in your package.json file, we are going to read this and we are put it and show it on the CustomElements.io site. And like I made some web components to show you. Like one of the things that I always do when I create a new website is put those Twitter buttons, the Google Plus button, the Facebook share button. And like I always do the same time. I go to like the recent website that I made and I copy and paste that block of code. And I always do this. And I'm pretty sure that you do something like this, you know, it doesn't need to be that same problem, but you're always copy and pasting some things of your application that you developed in the past. So in my case was this, the Twitter button, so I decided to create a Twitter button tag. And this one, this is the document. So I have the doc type, okay, meta, title. I'm importing the polyfill because I want this to work in other browsers. I'm importing my element, the Twitter button, and then I just put it here, Twitter button. And I created some attributes for this. The first one is type. I want my Twitter button to be the type follow, and the user is going to be JS.LA. So if I go to the browser, this is what I see. And I can send a tweet to JS.LA. I can change this to my user. Cool. I can put a hashtag JSLA. Oops, this one is the custom elements. But you can, this is not the user. I think it's hashtag, I'm not pretty sure. No. Yeah, I just need to check there. But you can have like different attributes, and you can create like what do you want you can create with custom elements, with web components. There's also, like, remember when I showed you the video camera? So this one, like where you can grab the user's camera and show whatever you want in this, okay? Like you can create different attributes for that element. Let's say you were a really hipster guy, and you can create the filter attribute And there are many options that you can pass to it. My favorite one is this, because I want to post on Instagram later on. Sepia. And let's see. Okay, now I can post on Instagram. I can put any other thing like invert. Let's see, how is this one? Whoa, this is crazy. Yeah, so there, and this is just using CSS filters behind of it to make it work. It's really simple. You can create many different things. What if you just wrap the web speech API inside of an element and like do some speech synthesis, for example? I can say, hey, my element, it's called video voice player element. I want to use the Spanish accent, and I want this text to be so.
Me gusta la gasolina, dame más gasolina.
You can actually tell the browser what to say. I want this to say, I don't know, Los Angeles rocks.
Los Angeles rocks.
And you can also do not only speech synthesis using just one element, which is like crazy, but you can also do voice recognition. And I hope this works. Los Angeles is awesome. It worked. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how many things you can do, you know. We recently created this project. It's called Tracking.js. It's a computer vision library. It's open source. It does like really crazy stuff. And what this library does, it's just pure JavaScript, no dependencies, no jQuery or any other thing. But you can track like colors, you can track your face, and you can go crazy. You can integrate a whole 3D environment with Tree.js and capture the user face and make this crazy things, right? So that's what Tracking.js does. So we extended the video element and we created the video tracking element. So I don't know, let's say your boss tells you, hey, we need to detect the face of the user using the webcam and you need to do it for tomorrow. Okay, we have an element for you. Don't worry. Where are you? So here it is. So I don't know like how many hours you're going to spend doing this, but it's a lot of hours. It's really hard to do those things. And you can do it with one tag. You can wrap anything you want using web components. So it's just mind-blowing. It's like, oh my god, there's so many possibilities that you can do. Like, this is how I feel, really. This is like this is me. I recorded this. So, so web components is just crazy, right? Okay, it's crazy, we all got that. So how you create your own elements? Okay, I want to create my own element, how can I do this? Like you can create with Polymer, it's a really nice framework to build on top of it. We created a boilerplate for you to use it. So all those links, don't worry, I'm gonna tweet it. So I know that there's been lots of different stuff. So we created a boilerplate for Polymer. If you want to use X tags from Mozilla, we also created a boilerplate for that. And if you don't want to use any other framework, you just want to use vanilla JavaScript, we also have a boilerplate for you to build on top of it. So it has all the files and everything you need to start building your own components on top of it. And if you like Human and you want to automate all that process for you, we also created a generator. So you can, let's create a folder here. How is my element gonna be called? I know, light element. And okay, light element. I'm just gonna type yo element and I want to scaffold the whole repo. Oops, I need to update. And there's this really nice banner here that it took like 30 minutes to build. And after that, you get this question. Hey, what do you want to use? Do you want to use Polymer or Xtags or Vanilla.js? I want to use Polymer. What's your GitHub repository username? And then you start answering those questions. And then we create all the files you want. We run bower install and npm install to fetch all the dependencies. And then you have a whole project scaffolded here for you to build on top of it. So it's pretty nice. It's already here, like my element and my repo, all the information that I filled out before. So it's open source, it's on GitHub, like everything that we do. So, okay, we have boilerplates to build our elements. We have custom elements.io to put our elements in for other people to consume it and to see it. But what's the main reference to learn it? Let's say you didn't come tonight for this thing and you don't know web components, you want to learn more about this. Where should you go? Like, should I go to Google and search for web components? Should I go to like HTML5 Rocks? Should I go to Polymer? Should I go to Xtags? What is the best place to learn about web components? Again, we thought that, hey, maybe we can like gather all those informations in one place. So I got together with Eddie Osmani and a bunch of awesome people. Lots of people from Google like Alex, Eric, and Rob. Some guys from Mozilla like Daniel and Soledad. Also some guys from Opera. And we made this project called webcomponents.argh. We built it a couple of months ago. It's been really nice. We put all the specs. We put like the browser support for web components, new articles, new presentations, whatever content you want to check, it's there. And I know that you're really tired and you want beer, so I'm just going to finish this saying that I think that the best way to predict the future is to create it. And I'm really glad that we are here tonight, sharing all the knowledge and sharing all the crazy things that we are building. And this is really nice because we're not just waiting other people to dictate what we should use. We are really like creating our own stuff and like just sharing with everybody, and this is just awesome. So thank you very much. That's it. I think that this is one, like, we can reach that point. I don't know if it's, like, really good, actually. I think that some parts of your application should be in a tag because it's easier to consume. But I'm really afraid that once we have, like, a really nice adoption of this and people will have, like, a whole page using just custom tags, imagine, like, we need really good documentation for each of those. Otherwise, like, imagine a new developer in the team, and then they, okay, now I need to learn this thing, and there's lots of different tags, and you don't know what is this about. So it's hard. So that's the problem. It's so much power, and you can create so much crazy things that people need to be worried about how they are going to build it. But I think at a certain point, this will happen. Like, lots of custom tags. You're still going to use the native ones. Like, you don't need to build a new video. You don't need to build a new date picker. It's really hard. There are so many implementation details around a date picker that you don't want to rebuild one. But I think at some point this is going to happen.
jQuery plugins are the same way, right?
Exactly. Focus. They are, basically because they are big. So if you want to use, like, if you are using all the different things that web components provide for you, like custom elements, templates, shadow DOM, and you want a polyfill for every single piece of this, then it's going to be a little bit, I think it's 140K for the polyfill. It's a really considerable addition to your project. So that's why I don't think it's like the best idea in the world. I would never put this in a really big project right now. But there's a lot of people using web components nowadays. If you go to GitHub, And you may say, oh, this project is like for developers, but there's like lots of users going on here. And I have created this little extension that shows the web components on your page. And all of this, like the times in your application, those are custom elements. And they are using the custom elements polyfill in production nowadays, today. So if you inspect this element, you'll see that they are extending the time element to build this. So yeah, like you have this downside that it's basically loading this polyfill, but people are using it in production already.
I really love the link importing, but is there any progress towards bundling of those type of things?
Yeah, so you may think that, imagine that you have your whole app with like 30 different elements in your page, and if you have like each element loading 3 different CSS files or external JavaScript, how you're going to handle this. There's too many requests, and you maybe want to bundle it. There's this tool called revolutionize, which the goal, it's pretty much it.
Awesome name.
Yeah, so the idea is like a build tool for HTML imports, and their support for cores, for example. I think they have a Gulp plugin and a Grunt plugin if you want to use it. So it's on NPM, and the idea is this: bundle everything in one, or in different ones if you want to.
Awesome.
What? Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it does. You will put like the different elements that you want, and then it's gonna generate just one for you. It's gonna concatenate all in one, so you have just one request. That's the idea.
So I was curious about how you can. Is it possible to penetrate the shadow DOM, like to change styles and things like that, or do you have to always expose some kind of?
There's an attribute called like you can put in your CSS. It's called dip. It's really weird. Let me try to see it here. Yeah, so you can actually go through the shadow DOM and change whatever is like, and I think you can change from the shadow DOM your parent document as well. But this is not a good idea, or it is. Yeah. And you can see it's really weird, you know, when you see those things. I'm like, oh yeah, that's not a good idea. It feels weird.
So how do you basically prevent just like having to rewrite like styles for everything all the time, or like how do you share like a visual look if you're creating like a whole site using web components everywhere? Yeah,
so this is a problem, right? So if we are using Bootstrap, for example, we import just one CSS, and then you can have like all your page in with that really nice look and feel. But that's actually a bad thing, because you're importing things that you're not using at all. But you know, we need to share styles sometimes. So it's gonna really depend on how you're gonna like make your elements. Because let's say you have in HTML we have this like the li element, for example. This element by itself, it doesn't do nothing, right? You need to have a wrapper on it, which is UL or OL. So if you don't have those, it doesn't make sense. Same for our option. If you just put this element here, it doesn't mean nothing. You need to put like inside of select, and then you can have it. So it really depends on how you're going to build your application. You can compose your application in different elements and reuse them one inside of the other. But if you really need to reuse, then just use CSS. That will be the best thing, you know, and not just like do everything in web components and forget the things that you can always do with CSS. Okay, guys, thank you very much.